Let's talk about the Thunderbolts, which is the latest Marvel movie and the one that I think is truly going to showcase if Marvel still has some magic to bring people to the theater and really get them excited for the next one, which that post-credit scene, it truly feels like the old Marvel. So let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers. That is our huge goal right now. So less than 400 to go, but let's talk about Thunderbolts asterisk, and we'll talk about the asterisk as well. So the film basically revolves around Valentina Allegra de Fontaine facing impeachment, and all of this due to some illegal activities apparently. So what she decides to do is she decides to pretty much bury all the leads, right? And she gets Yelena Belova, she gets John Walker, Ava Starr, Antonia Dreykov to a secret compound where they can battle each other and pretty much kill each other. That's what she wants right here. So we see that Starr eventually kills Dreykov, and then this is when they're pretty much like, wait, what the hell are we doing right here? And they also meet Bob, because Bob is here as well, and of course that's always been the joke of the whole like movie, because there is a man named Bob. But we do learn that Bob is actually the Sentry / the Void, and we'll talk about that in a bit. After meeting Bob, of course, they then learn that Fontaine set all of this up in order for all of them to be incinerated and all of her activities as well with them, but they actually managed to escape from the trap, and now they are on the hunt for Valentina. Of course, this is all thanks to Bob as well, who's able to distract the Fontaine's forces, who actually open fire on him. And this is where we learn that Bob is this like super powered hero of sorts, as he's able to get up from the gunfire and fly upwards as well and get out of the compound. Alexei, who is of course Red Guardian, had overheard De Fontaine's activity while he was a freelance chauffeur, and he's able to pick up Belova, Walker, and Starr. And now he decides to call this new team Thunderbolts. We then see that the team gets chased before they are captured by Bucky Barnes, who is now a politician, and he plans to use them as evidence for De Fontaine's impeachment. But actually learning about Bob being the subject of De Fontaine's secret project, we see that Barnes teams up with them in order to storm to Avengers Tower in New York City. And of course, Barnes might feel some type of way about Bob, as he himself feels that he was like an experiment that was just used, abused, and just thrown out. Maybe Barnes feels that maybe sometimes you have to do things a little bit differently, even though it might not be quote unquote the right thing, but this is how we see this formation happen. They then learned that Fontaine had turned Bob into a genetically enhanced human called Sentry, and we see that he is able to swiftly defeat the Thunderbolts and force them to get out of the tower. And Fontaine had been experimenting on people like Bob, and Bob, we learn, is a meth addict, and of course we see that he is very much so used by Fontaine in order to further her agenda and her own career without any care about his addiction. Eventually we see that Sentry does in fact believes that he is a god more powerful than the Avengers, but then is incapacitated by a kill switch that is activated by De Fontaine's assistant, Mel. Now, the problem here is that this actually takes down Sentry, but awakens something else, a dark side that Sentry has, known as the Void, and turns everybody into shadows and engulfs the city in darkness. Now, the only way that we can defeat the Void is to reach Bob from the inside, so Belova enters the shadow dimension. So she goes through her past, and we see her trying to come to terms with it. A lot of this movie is coming to terms with your past and not letting it define who you are as a person going forward. We see this with everybody in the group, but more specifically, this is about Belova's character, who really is going through a lot, trying to just really figure out who she is and who she will become, right? So we do eventually see that they are able to reach Bob, and the other teammates join them, and they head to a timeline where Bob was being experimented in Kuala Lumpur. There they're able to encounter the Void, but then we see Bob attack the Void. But we do see that Bob is getting beat down by the Void. However, the other heroes are able to get free, and they're able to convince Bob that he is not alone in this, and that they're able to take down the Void together, which causes the Void to disappear and everything else returns to normal. Now the Thunderbolts are going to go after Fontaine, but she actually lures them to a press conference where she is now introducing them as the new Avengers, and this is all part of her plan now in order to escape whatever the Thunderbolts were going to do to her, because she was scared of it, but now she's able to secure her job because she can say, this is what I was trying to do? I was trying to get a new group for us to protect us, and here they are. So pretty much now the new Avengers, not the Thunderbolts, are able to get a little bit of leverage from DeFontaine, and DeFontaine's not going to be impeached. She's still going to keep her job, but now it seems that there's like, you owe us for this now, and we got you. Like you're leveraged. So that's pretty much where that ends right there. But the post-credits scene takes place 14 months later when the new Avengers receive a signal from space, and a satellite reveals that a spacecraft is coming to Earth, and we see the spacecraft has a giant number 4 on it. So yes, indeed, the Fantastic Four are coming into Earth 616. So that's pretty much where it all ends, and I thought that that's pretty much what the asterisk was as well, that they weren't going to be just called the Thunderbolts. They are eventually named the New Avengers. Some people believe they were going to be called the Dark Avengers, but I'm not too sure why they're choosing this name. The biggest thing is that Fantastic Four post-credit is that this is definitely telling us Galactus is going to mess everything up in the Fantastic Four movie, and I'm curious to see how we're going to see the Fantastic Four be introduced here, and how they will sort of try to quote unquote become part of this new world as well, because there's going to be a lot of things that don't feel like right for the Avengers, right? They've gone through Thanos and all of that, and Loki, and it's just like, do we trust anybody else coming from another dimension? Can we really do that? And I think that that's something we're going to see very much so be put up with the Fantastic Four, as these barriers of sorts. So I'm interested in seeing how the Fantastic Four ends now and what comes next from it. So definitely keep it locked in here. When the Fantastic Four comes out, we'll be talking about it, but we'll have some theories and stuff as well, a theory video about what exactly this post-credit means and how it definitely does tie in more to the Fantastic Four and what comes out in Doomsday next year. So stay tuned for that video, and I'm excited to talk more about it. But let me know what you thought about the Thunderbolts. What do you think about them being called the New Avengers now? What do you think about Bob Sentry being introduced now as a pretty strong hero? Honestly, I'm curious to see how all of the other Avengers and heroes in the Marvel Universe react to Bob. And also let me know what you think about the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. Do you think it was a good post-credit scene to have, or do you think it kind of gives away too much about what happens in the Fantastic Four movie? Let me know below, because I see a lot of people debating online about this. I think it's okay. I think we all kind of agreed or came to an agreement that Galactus had to mess things up so severely that the Fantastic Four had to run to 616 in order to seek out help or whatever. So it just kind of made sense, right? But let me know your thoughts and your opinions down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We talk movies, TV shows, all the things you love, and we'll be discussing more of this post-credit scene over the weekend. So don't miss out on that, and I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.